Okay, once the streaming has started, we can start. So let me share my screen quickly. Please, I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
All right. So we spoke about policies and procedures, all right? And then we spoke about the organizational objectives and then regulatory compliance and all of that. Now, the next thing we'll do in audit is to do risk management or risk assessment. Okay. That's what we are going to be looking at today. Risk assessment as a part of our audit process and all of that. And so why then do we conduct risk assessments? So we conduct a risk assessment to identify the organization's critical risks, vulnerabilities, and potential threats. This one we've spoken about them extensively in the beginning of the program, understanding critical assets, vulnerabilities, and threats. And so in doing a proper audit, you have to then have to do a proper analysis of the risks that is involved in the organization. Okay. And so today we're going to look at how to properly assess risks. So we are focusing on high risk areas where a security breach would have the most significant impact on the organization. That is the focal point for today. Okay, we're going to look at risk management. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
So the screen has changed to a PowerPoint presentation, right?
No, it's the normal screen, not PowerPoint.
Okay, so then I think I shared
It's still
that.
the same.
Okay, all right, that's fine. This is the one I sent for within the week, right? I see my face.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So then that. Okay, so we're going to look at risk as part of your IT audit. Okay, so analyzing the risk and all of that. So risk analysis involves identifying and brainstorming potential risk factors and threats and threat events that could impact an organization's objectives. And so right from the beginning of this training program, we spoke about risk and how to identify risk. And we said that risk, or identifying risk or calculating risk takes two things into consideration. Who remembers them?
The question again, you're saying
To
calculating
analyze the risk, there are two things you have to take into consideration. Who remembers them?
the likelihood and then the impact.
The likelihood and impact. And so anytime we talk about risk, these two things should come in mind: the likelihood and impact. The likelihood and impact. So while we are doing a risk analysis, that is to understand the various sources of risk and threats that an organization might face. Okay. Now, the first things we did was just understanding risks. Now you have become an IT auditor, and so you are going to perform an audit, and we are going to look at your policy, okay, your security and privacy policy. In doing that for an organization, you have to then look at risk analysis, okay, and to do that, you have to understand the various risks of an organization. Okay, you have to identify the risk factors. So then you have to look at internal risk factors. You have to look at risk factors internally and externally. Okay, financial, operational, strategic, regulatory, and environmental risk. Okay, so then you have to then classify the risks. Are they internal risks? Are they external risks? So if you take, for instance, financial insufficiencies, are they internal risks or external risks? All right. Strategical issues or managerial issues, are they internal risk or external risks? You have to look at all of those things, and you grade the risks. Okay, we'll get to all of that. You grade the risks, and then you look at high risk, low risk, or medium risk. All of that will come to bear. And you are not going to be working alone. Okay, you're going to be working with management, you're going to be working with cybersecurity engineers, DevOps guys, and all of that. It's a collaborative team. It's a collaborative team. And so then you all work together to be able to understand, okay, you're able to understand the risk factors. Okay, then you brainstorm at the possible threat events such as cyber attacks, natural disasters, and all of those attacks we have mentioned before. Remember the cyber attacks we've mentioned before, right? And so you look at your organization and then you begin to brainstorm where this organization is positioned at this material moment. Okay, what are the likely threats that can come to us? What are the likely threats that can come to us? And then you begin to work at that. All right, you begin to work at that. And so then you begin, okay, for instance, if there's a company based in Japan, all right, there's a company based in Japan, and there's a company based in Ghana. If they are doing a risk analysis on natural disasters, do you think our natural disaster prone activities will be the same? Let's have a conversation on this before we move on.
Definitely no.
Okay, so if your company is situated in Accra, what are the likely natural disaster risks that may come to you?
So usually Accra flood,
Flood. Okay.
and then probably earth tremor.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there's this don't know the title to give him. I think he's a sound engineer or music producer. Very old man. I've forgotten his name actually. He normally appears on Anama McBrown show. Who?
Fredima.
Fredima,
Fred, yeah, Uncle Fred, yes. He lost his studio in the June 3rd disaster, right? And very big man. Suddenly he has to beg for food to eat. And he has to now rely on the benevolence of other people because of a natural disaster. Now, let's assume that risk had been calculated. What do you think could have been done to mitigate his loss?
He could have backed up. He could have backed up his files.
Backed up his files.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So
Any other?
There could be relocation.
Relocation, okay.
And then insurance to probably transfer the risk.
Insurance to so beautiful. You've used the language I was looking for, to transfer the risk. So then there's a transfer of risk. So that you are saying that the risk is likely to happen to me, but I don't want to bear this risk. So insurance company, at the end of every month or at the end of every year, I'm going to pay you some money. If this natural disaster risk comes, you are going to bear the cost. So it is my property, it is my instrument, it's my everything that is bent or is going to be bent, but I've transferred the risk to the insurance company and I'm paying them to manage my risk for me. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And so when you brainstorm, you collaborate with stakeholders to look at the possible threats, okay, cyber attacks, natural disasters, whatever. Okay, then you document the risk for analysis. So okay, we've said that. Okay, now let's pick a company. Let's say Ghana Commercial Bank, Ghana Limited. What are some of the risks that can face Ghana Commercial Bank? Let's go. Let's go quickly. What are some of the risks that can face Ghana Commercial Bank? Fire. Okay, so we are not limiting it to natural disasters alone. All the risks we know about.
I think phishing attacks are also part.
Is that what?
Phishing attacks.
Phishing attacks. Okay.
Yes.
Cyber attacks, ransomware.
Okay. So all of these attacks are risks that can come to GCB. Right. And so as a risk manager, the first thing you have to do is to identify the potential risks that can come to you. Okay. And then once you identify them, you record them. And so then you document the risk and threats for further analysis. Is someone saying something? Did someone say something? I thought I heard someone speak. Okay, so then the first step is the risk analysis, identifying the risk and all of that. Now that you have seen that, okay, these are the risks that can come to me, then now you begin to do an analysis, an assessment of those identified risks. Okay, and so now you begin to look at the likelihood, the impact, like we've been talking about. So just like we've been mentioning, these are the practical things we've studied. We've studied the theories in the past, and now I want to look at how to do it practically. Okay, so you're conducting an IT audit, risk assessment. So the frequency of risk and its impact. So risk assessment involves evaluating the likelihood, that's the frequency. We've spoken about this already. And the potential impact of the identified risk on an organization. And so, Ghana Commercial Bank again. If a fire is to happen, or we're talking about fire, what is the probability that a fire will happen? What is the probability that a fire will happen? All right. And so, please give me a second. Let me solve this. Okay, let's go on. Sorry. So, what is the likelihood? We've spoken about this already, so I'm sure you understand it. What's the likelihood of the risk that will happen? How likely is it that where we are, flood will come? Okay. When it happens that way, all right, what is the potential damage it will cause? We know all of that. So why do we do risk assessment? To prioritize risks based on their potential impact and likelihood, allowing for effective resource allocation and mitigating strategies. So you have listed maybe 10 risks, and then you begin to do the assessment, and then you begin to grade them, okay, as to which one is likely to happen and which one will cause more damage when it happens. Okay. And so then once you begin to do that, then you share your resources, whether it's human or financial capital, on how to begin to mitigate those risks from happening or prevent those risks or recover quickly from those risks in the case that they happen. You get me? And so the reason we do risk assessment, okay, is to be able to prioritize, because the company doesn't have all the money to throw about. Okay, so we prioritize which ones come first, which ones should come second, right? And then based on the assessment, you strategize, and then you distribute your resources to mitigate those risks according to the order you have arranged them, based on the likelihood it will happen and the impact it will have if it happens. So now, how to do your risk assessment? Okay, then you look at the likelihood assessment. We're speaking about likelihood. So now you do a likelihood assessment. Determine the probability of each risk occurring. Okay, so then you look at the company. What is the likelihood that a fire will catch us? Or what is the likelihood that a phishing scam will happen? Or what's the likelihood that, say, a ransomware can take place? Okay. Now, in doing that, you have to take the data of history. Has it happened before in this company? Or has it happened to our sister companies that are just like us? So maybe you are GCB Bank. Your sister company could be EcoBank, right? And so you can take historical data from other organizations or your own organization. What are in the past the risks that have actually been occurred here? And then once it is something that has been occurring, okay, you then begin to understand that if this has happened to EcoBank and I'm Ghana Commercial Bank, say if you meet that your friends about yourself is burning, you do what?
You dip your own in water.
In water.
You get
So you are Ghana Commercial Bank. Last week you heard that EcoBank has suffered a ransomware attack, and you are Ghana Commercial Bank. What is the wisest thing you do? Somebody talk to me. You are managing director, Ghana Commercial Bank. You heard that last week EcoBank has suffered a ransomware attack. What will you do as a managing director of Ghana Commercial Bank?
You run risk assessment on your systems.
That's all. To prevent yourself from suffering the same fate that your sister bank has suffered. You understand? Now the likelihood. How is it likely that it will happen to us? Okay. Now, when you have done that assessment, oh la la, please hold on for me. Sorry about that. I had to pick a call. Okay. So look at this carefully. You have done the likelihood assessment. Okay. What's the likelihood that this event will happen to us? And you look at historical data, like I said, then you get expert judgments, people who are good at risk assessment. They come and look at your organization, they look at the institution, they look at the industry, and they say that, okay, for this industry and for your organization, this and this and this can happen to you. Okay. And so then, based on the expert judgment, you can then make a call on the likelihood assessment. And then you can look at the statistical model. And so then you use statistics and then science to do your calculation and all of that to calculate the. Now we have AI that have been programmed to do a lot of things, okay, and all of that. They just can tell you this and this and this is what is going to happen, and 90% of the time it will happen. And so when you are done with your likelihood assessments, then you understand the probability that the risk will take place. Then you look at your impact assessment. So we said that, remember we said that risk is the likelihood and the impact, right? So after you have calculated or determined the likelihood of that particular risk happening, now let's look at when it actually happens, what is the impact on our organization? All right. So then you can look at the potential consequences of the risk in terms of financial loss. Okay, so if you are looking at your risk, you are looking at either it will cause financial loss, reputational damage, okay, operational disruptions, and compliance breaches. So if it happens, it can fall within any of these issues. All right. It can fall within any of these issues. And so then what is the potential impact of that particular risk if it actually happens to your organization? And so then when you are done with your likelihood assessment and your impact assessment, okay, you remember we gave a formula for calculating risk. Who remembers it? Who remembers the formula? Hello? And I'm ready formula.
Apostle Mirefi.
Hey. Likelihood times impact. Okay. Likelihood times impact. And so that gives you your risk. And so when you are done with your likelihood assessment and you are done with, can you hear me?
Very well.
All right. And so when you are done with your risk assessment, or you're done with your likelihood assessment and your impact assessment, and then you can do your risk rating. And so your risk rating is a combination of the likelihood and impact assessments to rate and prioritize the risk, often using a risk matrix like a low, high, and medium. So when you are done with your assessment, impact assessment, and all of that, then you can do the risk rating. This particular risk, what is the likelihood that it will happen? What is the impact if it happens? Now you have all those answers. Based on those answers, you do what we call a risk rating. And so all the risks that are likely to happen, you begin to rate them. So maybe there's a low risk, okay? It's a medium risk. It's a high risk. You don't just throw those words at those risks. This is after you have performed your likelihood assessment, you have performed your impact assessment, and then now you can do a risk rating. So the risk rating is a combination of the results of the likelihood and the impact assessment. Put them together, and then you can say that, okay, for our organization in this industry, a fire is a medium risk. You don't just determine it. It is a combination of the results of the two of them. Do you understand? If you say you're talking of phishing attack. It's a phishing attack. Say, okay, it's a medium risk. How did you determine it's a medium risk? All right, you have done a likelihood assessment. You have done an impact assessment. And then with the results of that, you come and do a risk rating with the help of a risk matrix. And so then that determines whether it is a low, high, or medium. Okay, so then when you say it's a low risk, it means that fine, it will affect the organization, but it has a low adverse effect, limited adverse effect on the organization's operation. All right. So though it will affect the organization can bear that risk. All right. It is not something that will cause any major issue to the organization. So it can cause minor harm or to individuals or to assets and all of that. And then when it's moderate or medium, it has a serious adverse effect on the organization's operations, assets, or individuals. So then the impact is significant. No loss of life or serious life-threatening injuries. But then we are looking at the impact on systems, on data, on assets. And these words, I know you understand them. Okay. And then when it's high, it's a catastrophic adverse effect on the organization's operations, assets, and individuals. That can include a loss of life or serious life-threatening injuries. And so then you look at all the risks, and then you can classify them into low, high, medium, based on the risk metrics available to the organization. Up to this point, is there any question, please? Or we are fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So look at this carefully. Risk A. Is someone saying something?
No.
Okay, I thought I heard a voice.
Yes.
Oh la la. Your voice cannot be heard. Okay, so type your question in the chat box. I don't know if it's only me, but I can hardly hear you. So please type your question in the chat box.
Same
I'll
here.
attend to
I
it.
hardly hear him too. Same here. His line is
Yes.
breaking.
The network
line
is
is breaking.
terrible this evening.
Yes. So please type your question in the chat box. I'll attend to you. All right. Okay, so let's look at the risk analysis and evaluation. All right. What did I say the formula for risk is? I
You said
just mentioned
likelihood times impact.
likelihood times impact. Okay. So let's say risk A. All right, risk A. Let's give it a name. What risk can we put here? Risk A. Anybody at all? Just mention any risk we can use here.
Flood.
Flood. Okay. So let's say flood. The likelihood of a flood occurring is 4 based on assessment. Okay. And the impact is 2. Okay. So your risk score is what?
8.
8.
8.
Okay. Now risk B, let's give it a name. Any of the attacks, any of the risk at all.
Fire outbreak.
Fire outbreak. Okay. The risk is 4. The likelihood is 4. The impact is 3. It means that the score is what?
12.
12.
Okay. Risk number C. Let's give it a name.
Earthquake.
Earthquake. Likelihood 3. Impact 3. It means the score is what?
9.
Okay. Risk D. Let's give it a name.
Cyber attack.
Cyber attack. Which of them?
Malware.
Malware attack. Okay, beautiful. And so malware attack, the likelihood that it will happen to us is 4. But when it happens, the impact on our system is 2. What then is the score? 12.
8.
Hey, sorry, 8. Sorry. Now let's look at H. H. Let's give it a name. Let's give it a name.
Ransomware.
Ransomware. What's the likelihood? 5. What's the impact? 5. What's the score?
25.
25. So on this table, okay, on this table, what is the highest risk here?
Ransomware.
Ransomware. That's fine. Now let's come to the evaluation of the risk. All right. So we listed from 1 to 5. This is the likelihood, 1 to 5. The likelihood that it will happen, 1 to 5. And the impact that this will happen, 1 to 5. And so now we come to map. It's just like drawing on your map sheet or your map grid. Look at E. Let's start from E. Let's give it a name quickly. What attack can we give E, or what risk?
Tsunami.
Tsunami, okay. Because it's
Likelihood
not
is 1.
likelihood is 1, and we'll be a tsunami ember her own.
Kumasi pad. I just said.
I just said, check that by president answer.
It can be here.
All right. So then the likelihood of a tsunami happening in Kumasi is 1, very low, and the impact is 4. All right. So though it is not likely to happen, because when it happens, the impact will be high. It is a high risk. Do you get it? It's in the red zone. Any of the risks after you do your mapping, and then it finds itself in the red zone by the table we have here. Red is for high. And so though it is not likely to happen, but when it happens, the impact will be catastrophic. People will lose their lives. Machines will be destroyed. Data may never be recovered, and all of that. And so when we look at that particular instance, we say that it is a high risk, not because it can happen, but because when it happens, the effect will be daring. Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's look at A, risk A. Risk A, what name did we give it to it? I think it's flood or something. Yes. So in Ghana, there it is likely to happen. In Accra, flood, especially in this season, is likely to happen. So 4. Okay. But when it happens, the impact is 2. If a flood happens, how is it going to impact our organization and say we say it's 2. Once it's 2, we do the mapping where it's 2. 2 is here. So what is the grading of that particular risk? 4 and 2.
Medium.
What kind of is
Medium.
what?
Medium.
Are you sure? 4 and 2. So this is 4 and 2. Medium.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
medium. Yeah. it's
Beautiful.
medium.
Beautiful. So it means that you understand the risk evaluation.
Yes, please.
Yes. And so in an organization, in a working environment, this is how you calculate your risk. You look at, so this is the risk metrics, the impact, the likelihood, the impact, and then the score. And then you come and do the mapping and you find out where it lands. So let's look at H. H. And we said it is what? Ransomware.
Yeah.
The likelihood is 5. The impact is 5. So if you are mapping it, see where H is. High. In fact, if there's anything higher than high, it is high risk. Do we get? And so this
Yeah.
is how we conduct a risk analysis and evaluation. Any questions so far?
So far, we are fine.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
fine.
Very
Yes,
fine.
hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, yes, I said, yeah, the network is breaking in. I'm not getting the teaching, the lesson clearly. So you can please go over it for me, or is there any other way that I can get it through recording so I can listen to it later? Because I've been requesting for recording, but then I have not gotten any. So
Oh,
I beg, I'm Emmanuel.
yeah, Ima. The recording is on the page. Oh. The recording has been on the page for a long time now because I put everything in cloud and I put the link on the page. Okay. So can someone go on the page and refer Ima to the recording for me? I really appreciate if we could help Ima with
Yeah,
it. Thank you.
okay.
Okay. So what are the advantages of risk assessment? Okay. So you recognize your threat. That's the first thing. No man, know thy enemy. I don't know if you have read The Art of War before, but man, know thy enemy.
Powerful book.
Powerful book, yeah. And so you recognize your threats. You are able to determine which kind of threat can affect you. All right, that's the first advantage. And then number 2, you prevent potential threats. Now that you know the threats, how can you prevent it? And so you put in measures to prevent those threats from actually happening. And then when you are done, you create an awareness in the whole team that as for us, these are the things that can bring the company down. So be careful. But unfortunately, Kwesi bro, Kobe Bini, this is our problem. Don't do this one. Oh, see my area. Okay, so the advantage of having a proper risk assessment is that you can create now awareness in your whole team that this is our weak point. All right, this is our weak point. And so as a company, we are trying to avoid this part. And so you create awareness in the whole team. All right. When you are able to do a proper risk assessment, you reduce cost and damages. You reduce costs and damages. Once you know what can affect you, you are able to prevent it And when you prevent it, you prevent the ensuing cost that comes with those damages. All right. And so then let's assume yours is flooding and you make an investment to prevent your office from being flooded. In the likely event that your area is flooded, your office may not suffer much. And so you reduce the cost and the damage you have. And then when you have a proper risk management or analysis, it feeds into your policy. Remember, we spoke about policy. And in the policy, there's a risk side. And so after you have conducted your risk assessment, all right. Oh, and I see a lot of people. In fact, 2 different people have referred Ima to the recording. So Ima, look at it for me quickly. All right. And so once the recording has been shared, I think Ima, you'll be fine. All right. So once we are done, Monday morning, I'll add these ones to it and we can make progress. So create effective policies and procedures. You're welcome, Ima. Create effective policies and procedures. So whatever risk assessment you do, it feeds into your policies and your procedures, especially on how to mitigate risk. Okay, because in your policy, there's going to be a risk assessment part of it. And so all of that feeds into the broader policy. Now look at this carefully. An informed management system. Supposed to be informed. Okay, so informed management system cannot be created without conducting a proper risk assessment. And so most of the time, all we are trying to do is to prevent these risks from happening. And so you cannot have a robust system if you don't conduct a proper risk management, because then it is the risk management that is going to feed in to whatever you want to do. Any question up to this point? Or we are fine?
We are fine, sir.
Okay. So you realize that, Charlie, these things are not too difficult to understand. What makes it a bit cumbersome is that we don't keep learning. We don't keep practicing it. All right. And so once you pick it up after a few weeks, it looks like it's strange to you. But let's say you commit 1 hour or 30 minutes a day to learn some of these principles, you'll be fine. Okay. Please hold on for me. Okay, so then, where? I think I've gone ahead of time, yeah. Okay. So, what is risk management? So, the risk assessment is identifying and classifying the risk, right? Now, risk management is how to address those risks you have identified. Do we get the difference? Is the difference clear?
Yes, sir.
You see, but unfortunately or
Yes, sir.
fortunately,
No,
we use it interchangeably. Someone saying something?
I asked that you come again because
Okay, so I was saying that risk assessment, okay, is
You said you didn't
identifying.
get you clear, so you should come again.
That's fine. That's fine. So I'm saying that risk assessment is identifying and classifying the risk. So you identify the risk, you do your analysis, you do your likelihood analysis, you do your impact analysis, you do your risk rating. That is risk assessment. Now, when you have finished assessing it, now you are coming to look at how to prevent those risks from taking place in your organization or to reduce the impact of those risks. The processes you put in place is now what we call risk management. But then we use the two, mostly we use the two interchangeably, and we don't even know that we are making a mistake. So now, do you understand the difference between a risk management and a risk assessment?
It's
Or
clear,
it's
sir.
still not clear? Is it clear now?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. So after you have identified and analyzed your risk, okay, after we have identified the risk, all right, we then begin to put in place measures, all right, that can be used to solve those risks or mitigate them. Okay, so risk management involves developing and implementing strategies to use to address or mitigate identified risk. So the risk you have identified and classified and rated in your risk assessment panel. Now you come to risk management. Those risks, now let us develop strategies we can use to fight those risks. All right. So what's the purpose of risk management? To reduce the likelihood and impact of risk. So anytime you talk about risks, it's likelihood and impact to an acceptable level. So that acceptable level, somebody mentioned it some time ago. That acceptable level of risk, what is it called?
Risk appetite.
Risk appetite. Risk appetite. Okay. Risk appetite. And so then I think someone is asking a question in the chat box. Let me look at it quickly. Where is it? See, please, is the whole process rather not risk management? Yes, risk management is the broader spectrum, okay? But then to be able to understand what we are doing, I've intentionally broken it down into the processes. But the whole process is risk management. But then I'm breaking it down to the assessing. That's the I'm breaking it down to what's happening. The risk analysis and the management so that we are able to identify what we are doing. But then in the broader sense, or everything falls under the risk management. Are we fine? So then the purpose of this is to reduce the likelihood and impact of the risk to an acceptable level, ensuring that the organization can achieve its objectives. And so the acceptable level is what we call the risk appetite. And so that is the level at which the organization can absorb these risks without having adverse effects on its operations and objectives. So then, when you are taking a decision on risk, you have to first of all look at your risk acceptance. So you have to acknowledge and accept the risk without taking any action, especially for low priority risk. That's your risk appetite. Okay. So then this risk, if you don't even take any steps against them, it will not really cause any problem to us. Because then we'll rather spend more money putting in the measures than it will cost us if the risk happens. So let me give a political example without being political. Okay. So former information minister says that the telcos are not paying the right amount of taxes. So signs a contract for a company to now begin to monitor the taxes, the revenue of these telcos, and the taxes they are supposed to pay. How many of us remember that story?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. And then it so happens that the cost of that contract a year is more than the taxes of the telcos put together. Let's say you are going to collect taxes of $10 million, and it's going to cost you $12 million to collect 10 million taxes. Are you making a profit or loss?
I'm still making a loss.
You're making a loss of 2 million.
2 million.
Yeah, so then if you had allowed the telcos to say pay their small taxes they were paying, even if it is not up to the 10 million, but it's maybe around 7 or 8 million, you are still making profit, but not that much as compared to making a loss on its own totally. And that is how some of the risks are. If they actually happen, you may lose 1 cedi, but it will cost you 5 cedis to avoid the risk from happening. So those risks, you just accept it and move on with it. Are we fine?
Yes, sir. But question.
Yes, sir. Please go on.
Yeah. So what of the vice versa?
Mm-hmm.
When it happens, the impact is very high. Okay, and you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
It will happen it will happen anyway. So in that, what do you do?
The risk will happen anyway.
So like cyber attacks.
Okay.
You taught us that it's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it will happen anyway. So in this case, if the impact is usually high.
Okay.
So what do you do? If the cost of mitigating is high and it will happen anyway, what do you do?
No, if the cost of mitigating is high and the impact is high, then it's worth it. Okay. So after you have done your risk assessment, you do your risk rating. So this whole thing is after you have done your risk rating. Do you understand? So let's come here. Let's go back to the risk rating. Okay, so let's assume the risk is here between 1 and 2. Okay, the impact is low. This is what we are talking about. In fact, the risk is maybe between only in the 1 region or 1.5 or 2. Please, you understand?
Yes, sir.
So we are not doing this in an abstract sense. We are doing this after we have performed our analysis and we know the impact of each risk we are talking about. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
So it is usually for low priority risk. How do you determine a low priority risk? It is after you have done your risk evaluation and risk rating. Let you know that this is a high priority risk or a low priority risk. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is not something you just sit down and conjure the, okay, I feel that fishing is a low priority risk, so let's put fishing down. No. It is based on this one. Whatever you get, the result you get here is what will inform the decisions you begin to take here. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Have I answered your question?
Very well said.
Okay. So it is not abstract. It is a process. And so the result of one gives rise to the beginning of another process. So like I was saying, whatever we are talking about here is going to ultimately feed into the writing of what I mentioned it. Morefi, I remember I said that whatever we are doing ultimately is going to feed into the development of the policy, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So the results we are getting from each of them is going to inform the policy strategy of the organization. But in order to have a strong policy, we need to conduct all of these things so that it feeds into the policy. So whatever strategies you put in place here or you determine here is what you put into the policy. You cannot determine that you use one strategy here and write another strategy in the policy. Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
Up until this point, is there any question or any confusion before we move on? Okay. So now there's a certain level of risk acceptance. Then you can look at risk mitigation. Risk mitigation. So then when it comes to risk mitigation, you implement controls and measures to reduce the likelihood or impact of the risk. And so remember the risk controls we talked about. The cybersecurity controls we spoke about. That was the basis of the assignment I gave you. True or false?
True.
Yes. Now, those controls we spoke about, this is the place to now begin to look at which control to bring into place here. All right. So now you begin to implement controls to reduce the likelihood and impact of risk. Technical controls, firewalls, encryption, policies, procedures, security guards, access control. All of them has a role to play in the mitigation of risk. Is it clear? So you see that all the topics we are treating in the course, they are not standalone topics. It may look like it's a standalone topic, but it will have a meaning as we go forward. Are you realizing it now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And so the assignment I gave, if you didn't take it seriously, please go back and look at your notes again. Go and look at the assignment again, because understanding the controls will help you in your mitigation of risks. So then in the risk mitigation, then you now decide to choose which control to implement against which risk. Okay. And then someone mentioned risk transfer a few moments ago. It's also a way of dealing with risk. Okay, so you transfer the risk through insurance or outsourcing. So yesterday, I was at the Ghana Youth Tech Summit and I met, okay, for safety, I don't want to mention the name of the organization, but I met the CTO, Chief Technical Officer of one of the tech companies in Ghana. And we were talking and they said they were looking at outsourcing their security. All right, they are looking at outsourcing their cyber security. I said, oh, Chairman, quick. As early as next week, I'm bringing you a proposal. And so you can outsource your risk to another company through insurance and other means. Okay. Now, for instance, you want to start a project and then you do your risk analysis and you realize that high or extreme risk cannot easily be mitigated. Okay. It is best if you will totally avoid that risk completely. Okay. So that then you practice what we call risk avoidance. So you calculate and you realize that the risks are high. The risks are high. The cost of mitigating the risk is also very high. Then I'd rather not even put myself in that situation at all. Risk avoidance. And then remediate risk is to totally eliminate the risk. But that one, it will take supernatural abilities to completely say that in my line of work, I have killed all my risk. There is no risk that can come to me. And these are the activities you can take or the decisions you can take concerning the risks after you have identified, assessed, and rated them. Any questions so far?
Things so far so good from my side.
Okay. Beautiful. Let's move on then. Now, you remember what a control register is? How many of us remember what a control register is?
Yes, we do.
So someone should tell me what a control register is.
We register with the list of our controls and their references and all that.
Yes.
The operational tools that tracks the implementation and status and management of all the controls.
Okay. Okay. That's a control register. Now apply the same thing here to a risk register. Okay. So it is just to record, it's a database. Identify, record, evaluate, manage risk within the organization. So just like you would have the control library and the control register, we're talking about the risk register where you have the information of all the identified risks, the evaluation, the state of the risk. That means the impact and the probability it will happen, and then the processes you have put in place to mitigate or manage that risk. Okay. So you record all of that in your risk register. It serves as a tool to track, monitor potential risk, their impact, their measures taken to mitigate them. So all that we have spoken about in your identification of risk, you put it in your risk register. The analysis of the risk, the grading of the risk, and the steps taken against those risks. Please, is it clear?
Yes, clear.
So the purpose of the risk register is to provide a structured and comprehensive overview of all the risks. It facilitates effective risk management and decision-making process. Once you have, just like the control register, if you want to have any information on controls, okay, all you have to do is to go and open your control register. I know so. Yeah. Once you have a control register and you are looking for security controls, are you now going to look for new controls? No. You just open your control register and you have your controls. Is that not so?
Yes.
So when you prepare your risk register, have the control register mentality at the back of your mind. You are putting all your risks in a register. And then, just like we did for this particular risk, it will be solved by this way. So now this is the reverse of the control register, because then the control register has against it the risk it is trying to prevent. Now in the risk register, the risk is there and you suggest a control to prevent it. So it's just like you are swapping the control register for a risk register. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Is there any question up until this point? Okay. So if you want to look at a risk register, what's the time? Do we take our break? It's 8:30. Hey,
Let's
I
continue.
didn't realize the time is gone like that. Eh? So when you take a risk register, what are the key components of the risk register? So the risk ID. You remember control ID? I think last week someone asked a question about control ID as to the naming and all of that, right? So then you have to give your risk a name. It's a unique identifier assigned to each risk for easy reference and tracking. Then your risk description. A detailed description of the risk, including its nature, source, and potential impact on the organization. So there's the nature of the risk, where you think it will come from, and all of that. And then the category, that's the classification of the risk into categories such as financial risk, operational risk, strategic risk, compliance, or environmental risk, which of that. So then you do a proper classification or categorization of the risk. And then you look at the risk owner. Just like the control register, every control has an owner. So the risk owner is the individual or the team responsible for managing that particular risk. So there's a particular risk on fraud. Then you give it to probably the finance department to manage that risk. So you know that anytime there's a fraud, you are going to hold the financial department responsible. And so you give the risk a risk owner. And then you come and document the likelihood and the impact. An assessment probably on the risk, how probability the risk will occur. We know that already. You come and do an evaluation on the impact By the time you are forming your risk register, you have done all of those things already. Okay, then you look at the rating. Okay, so then you look at the rating. That is based on the risk metrics or a heat map. So then the simplest one is what we just looked at, the high, medium, and low. The high, medium, and low. Then you look at the status of the risk. Is it open? Is it in progress or closed? So that is indicating whether the risk is still being managed or it has been resolved. Resolved means that you have completely eliminated that risk from ever happening to your organization. Okay. And then the resolution date. Oh la la, please hold on. Hold on for me. Let me see. Okay, sorry about that. So then resolution date. So we want to implement the controls to resolve the risk or mitigate the risk. It's just like the control implementation date. And so you whatever processes you want to take to mitigate those risks, you put the date down there. And the date on which the risk was last reviewed, ensuring monitoring and update. And so you continue to monitor the controls you put in place for the risks. Any questions so far? No question, let's move on.
Okay.
Unless there's a question or there's a contribution. Okay. So let's look at this as a sample of a risk register. Okay. So your risk ID, your risk description, data breach due to phishing attack. So it's very specific. Very specific. Data breach due to phishing attack. So the category is a security. The likelihood is rare. It means that it is a low likelihood, but the impact is high. You get? So the likelihood may be 1, but the impact is 5. So the risk rating is critical. So others will say high. Okay. And then, so the risk is critical. And then mitigating risk measures. So conduct regular phishing awareness training, implement multi-factor authentication, deploy email filtering solutions. Wonderful. So the status in progress, it means that they are doing it. Target resolution date. So it means that by 31st December, they should have finished doing it. And then they review it on the 1st of July. So if they review it on the 1st of July after implementing it on the 31st of December, what is their review period? Question for somebody to answer. Who will answer that for me?
6 months.
Excuse me?
6 months.
6 months. It means that they review their risk register or this particular risk after every 6 months. Okay, so then this is how they rate it. The likelihood, they look at rare, unlikely, possible, likely, almost certain. So this is how. So 1 is rare, 2 is unlikely, 3 is possible, 4 likely, 5 almost certain. Okay, then the category is here, and then the impact, like we said, high, medium, and low, and then the risk rating: critical, very high, high, medium, low. And so for you to say something is critical, it means that it is at the highest point of the risk rating. I think this is a good example of a risk register to understand. Any question or contribution to this? Any question or contribution? Am I going too fast or it's okay?
It's okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. So,
Sir, a question.
yes, sir, please go on.
Okay. So from the beginning, we learned that the formula for calculating risk is likelihood times input.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if likelihood, I don't know whether it's for purposes of illustration, but if likelihood is very rare, and so 1,
Okay.
and the impact is high, very high,
Okay.
or that's probably 5. 1 times 5 is 5.
Yes.
Do we still say it's high?
Yes. So once you fixed, okay, let's go back here. Are you seeing my screen? Are you seeing this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at the example of E. Okay. E. The likelihood is 1. Are you looking at it?
Following.
Yeah.
Following.
Yes, the likelihood is 1. But the impact is what? 4.
Oh,
Are you following the story?
Yes, sir.
The likelihood is 1, but the impact is 4. So when you do the mapping on the risk rating, where does it fall?
high.
It falls where? Here, right?
Yes.
High.
Within the red zone, you say that the red is what? High. So any mapping that falls within the red zone, okay, is a high risk. Now, this is it. For instance, okay, it is very unlikely that where you are living, somebody will shoot you. True or false?
Very true.
Very true. Okay. But once they shoot you, you will die.
Exactly.
So it is unlikely that it will happen. But in the unlikely event that it happens, is very deadly. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Some can say that, oh, this one there it happens a lot. But if it happens, there's no impact. So let's assume that the likelihood is 3, but the impact is 1. It happens a lot, okay? But when it happens, it doesn't really affect our systems. So then the impact is 1. That is low. Do you get it? So it's an interplay of both of them. The fact that something does not usually happen does not mean that when it happens, it will not cause trouble.
So can I give an example?
Please go ahead, sir.
So the likelihood of thunder striking during rainfall is high,
Yes.
but its impact is low. I don't know whether it fits.
Very well. So anytime it rains, you hear boop, 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 but it doesn't really cause any major problem. That's a good example to give, at least for our understanding. Is it okay now?
Okay. So
Yeah, it's okay.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So is it a case that there is some form of say like a criteria to say that okay, it's impacts above these thresholds for the purpose of what we are doing, like the numbers.
Mhm.
There's impacts above say 3 or 4 is catastrophic kind of thing. Is it
Yes.
like that? Mhm.
Yes. And so for every organization, okay, you do your risk rating and you determine. I think I mentioned it here. Where is that? I mentioned it somewhere. Okay, so you determine it, okay, and it can be based on historical data and experiences of other organizations, expert judgments, and a statistical model. And so you do your actuaries and you do your calculations. And you know that, okay, at this particular level, if this happens, it may affect us, but not so much. If this happens, it will affect us so much. Do you get it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very well.
That then opens up your mind to put figures to the effect you will have if those risks are to happen. And so it's just like in an exam, say somebody has got 100%, 100% is A, 70% is B, that kind of thing. And so if the impact of the risk is like this, we can grade it as number 5. If it is within this threshold of impact, we can grade it as number 4. If it is within this threshold, we can grade it as number 3, like just like that. So much so that from 0 to 1 or 0 to 10 is say 1. So that if we do the calculation and it is 0 to 1% or 0 to 10%, it means that this is not a problem. So it is a fail. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
I follow, sir.
Okay. So then that, okay, so there's one here. Oh, okay, okay. I think I'm using an old document. It's okay, it's an old document just for illustration. Alex, I hope I've answered you.
But the implementation date is December 2024. So if the review cannot be done before July 2024, before that's what I'm looking at. So if it's 2024 December, the review should be 6 months ahead. It should be July 2025.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. All right, okay, this side. Okay. I think then it's a mistake. It's a mistake on my part. So 2025. Sorry, I think that makes it clear. I think I get you enough. All right. But up to this point, are we clear?
Yeah, it's clear. It's
Very
clear.
clear, sir.
Okay. So this is how you conduct a risk management or risk assessment on your company. I think we've explained all of that. Okay, so how to do a risk analysis. But this type of risk management is looking specifically for backup and disaster recovery. Okay, that is going to take us into a whole new conversation. And so I would want us to pause it here. If there are any questions or contributions, we take them and we start off from here with fresh minds tomorrow. Are we good?
Yeah, you're good.
Yes, so that we've done close to 2 hours, about 10 minutes away from 2 hours. We've done well. I think this is the longest stretch we've gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because we are enjoying the lesson. It's good. It's good. And so we'll break here. If you have any questions or any suggestions, we can take them and then we'll close. Any questions?